You're listening to She's the Business podcast. Have you ever got to that point where you feel like you've gone as far as you can go along your current path? It's just not working out. This is not what you want for your life. And you're really motivated and inspired to take action, to do something different, to maybe make a big change. And then it gets scary. Because, oh my goodness, are you going to throw away everything that you know and have right now and go off down this totally different path? Oh, it is incredibly scary. And, I've been there. If you're already in business and you had a job beforehand, then you've been there too. Today's interview is with one of my beautiful clients, Kirsty Gibbs, and she's done this huge path transition twice in her professional life. And we're going to explore a bit about her story, how she went from an employee to a business owner and then started a completely new business in a totally different area, and what led her to making those transitions and changes, her experiences in making them, the challenges, the frustrations, and then also the success, so that you can gain some insights from her and from her experience into what made it a success for her, how she managed to successfully transition twice with two incredibly major changes in her professional life. So please stay tuned, because today's episode you're not going to want to miss. Hi, I'm your host, Jessica Osborne, and in my 23 years of business and marketing, I've built many brands to become multi-billion-dollar companies. And just in the last 10 years, I've built 2 online businesses of my own from my dining room table with 2 little babies running around at my feet. I've made it my mission to inspire you to get out of your own way and become the successful business owner who's living the lifestyle you really desire without all the hustle. This is She's the Business podcast, made by women for women. This is your weekly dose of motivation and inspiration. Now, today's special guest is my client, Kirsty Gibbs, and she's of Kirsty Gibbs Coaching. Now, Kirsty trained as a teacher and held down a very successful job as a teacher until the entrepreneurial spirit really was so fired up within her that she felt compelled to go out on her own and start her own business, which she did incredibly successfully. Started a tutoring business, ended up with multiple premises, a whole stack of staff, very successful business. And yet then another change happened in her life that led her to wanting to go in another direction again and leaning into, where she was currently, what she was doing, and how much she loved helping other people starting their tutoring business. She decided to go into coaching for tutors. And what she achieved in such a short period of time, she started her business, built it, created her first offering, her course, launched it within 3 months. So she was successfully filling that program within 3 months. And, I think that this kind of story is very, very inspiring, because even though you might think, well, that's fine for her, she already had a business before she started her coaching business. She did, but it was a completely different market, completely different clients. She was starting a totally fresh business in a fresh space, building a reputation as something different, because she was no longer being the head of a tutoring business. She was actually being a business coach for tutors. And so she was starting exactly where we've all started when we've started our business. But when you listen into today's interview, I think you're going to pick up on some of the things that she did that helped her get that success so quickly, that helped her to have that incredible ability to launch a business, to get in front of the right people, and to, sell her program without a big list. Like, she had nothing when she started this business. She was starting from zero again, a list of zero, brand new website. She built it herself, everything, she literally started from the beginning. So if this sounds like something that's resonating with you, I encourage you to stay on and listen to the rest of this episode. I'm about to press play on the interview and just listen in for the advice that Kirsty shares of what it was that really made the big difference for her, how she was able to be so successful straight away in her most recent business. Okay, are you ready? Let's do this. Okay, welcome. So I'm here with Kirsty Gibbs, and Kirsty is the founder of Kirsty Gibbs Coaching, and I'll get her to introduce to us a bit about who it is that you serve, Kirsty, and what you do.
Hi, Jess. Thank you so much for having me. It's really lovely to be here. So I now work with women, usually teachers in business, so teachers who are wanting to leave the classroom and start their own business, and tutors who are already in business, but they're ready to scale up. So there are a lot of times as tutoring business owners where we can sometimes get ourselves stuck. And I basically help those ladies get unstuck and help them to scale their businesses up, put automations and systems in place, show them how to bring staff on, how to create a business that they can step back from, and also help them with their mindset, because I think most of us coming from the classroom have got very limiting beliefs around what we are capable of in business and as business owners. So I help ladies with a lot of that as well.
That's awesome. And I'm just excited to bring your story to the podcast today, because you've actually done two major transitions in your career, in your professional life, because you started as a teacher and then moved into your own tutoring business, and now have moved into a business where you're helping other tutors to get started. So that's massive transitions, really. You've done some huge changes there. Do you want to tell us a bit about it and really what happened, or where were you at the point that you decided to make each of those changes, and what prompted the shift and the transition and going down a new path?
Yeah, sure. I love talking about this because I think all of these steps have combined. This whole journey is so important in terms of who I am now and what I do now. So I was in the classroom for a long time. I loved teaching. I loved working with kids, but I just wanted something more. And I could see the impact that I could make on certain students' lives when I worked with them one-on-one or in really small groups. So I actually nearly bought a tutoring franchise because I wanted to go out and have my own business and have more control. And if anyone listening now is a teacher, they will know that we are dictated by curriculums and programs and school policies. So we have to do what we are told so often. And sometimes it's not the best for the kids in our class. Sometimes it's not the best in terms of the way our teaching style. So I wanted to be in control, do my thing. And so I was going to buy a franchise. I paid my deposit and everything. And then at the last minute, I had my contract in with the solicitor, and I highlighted all of these things that I thought would be, I didn't agree with. And he turned around and said, it doesn't matter. This is a franchise. You have to do what they tell you to do. At the end of the day, this business is 51% theirs and 49% yours. And I was like, well, okay. That's not what I want. So I changed my mind overnight, which was made for some uncomfortable moments. But I had this moment where I just thought, hang on a minute, my dad is an electrician. He has no business degree. He has no experience, yet he has gone out and created this business that, he has a successful business that has 3 branches in different towns in North Queensland, and he's doing really well. He's got all this stuff. Like, he has learned how to do this. I can learn how to do this. So I decided to start my own tutoring business, and it was on my own terms. I worked the hours that I wanted. I, created the services that I wanted. My branding was amazing. Like, I absolutely loved my brand, and I went all out, and so left teaching full time, started my tutoring business, made a space, so actually leased a physical space. It was really scary, but so glad I did it. And I had staff within, I think, the first 6 months, which was also terrifying for so many reasons. But, you know, it had to happen. And once I actually did it, once I took those steps and worked through that fear, it was amazing. The return on that was so great. And then I opened a second centre within about 12 to 18 months, I think. So they were both going really well, and I was able to duplicate, you know, what I was doing at one at the other. And so basically then we decided to start a family. Really great timing. So I had a 1-year-old and 2 very busy businesses with probably about 20 staff. And I just thought, I have to change this. I cannot, like this is not working well for me. So I actually sold one of the businesses and restructured the other so that we were completely mobile. And what I also did in that time was start to create really great procedures and policies and systems so that I could step back from the business. So for the next 7 or so years, my business was able to run without me physically being there, without me doing anything, without me doing any tutoring. So, you know, my goal was always, or our goal as a family was always that we would be able to be there for our kids. And I think in life, my big why is my family. And so having that opportunity to have a business that was continuing to, I say run itself, but I still did have things that I was doing. So pays, invoicing. We'd by that point built up this amazing brand. So word of mouth and referrals was where we were getting most clients from. But even, you know, inquiries, student enrollments, things like that. I was still doing those, but it still gave me ample time to be with my girls when they were little. And whilst they were little, I still had other businesses on the go as well, because I think, you know, once you have the entrepreneur bug, you like to design new things and create new things. So I also created a business called the School Readiness Toolkits, which I super proud of, and you can go and check them out. They're still going. We did sell that business on because, again, it suited me for that time period. And then I realized that it wasn't serving its purpose for me. It was a very labor-intensive business, extremely rewarding for me, because the products that we designed were just, I'm so proud of them. And the impact that we could make for children and families in their homes was great. But for the point of time in my life where I have little people at home, it wasn't working. So that was sold on, and like I said, it's still going today, and that makes me so happy to know that we've been able to build a business that continues to go in under somebody else. And then I got to a point where I was sort of accidentally helping other people with their tutoring businesses. I'd been, you know, people would get in touch and ask me questions, and I was coaching people without even trying. It was just naturally happening. And I got to a point where I got off the phone one day and I said to my husband, oh, I wish I could do this for a living. I just love helping these people. Like, I love sharing my knowledge and warning them of all the mistakes I made. And he was like, well, why don't you? And I said, because, and I didn't have a reason, but I was like, well, who am I to do this?
And how do I do it?
Exactly. And, you know, imposter syndrome sets in, as it does for everybody. And it took me a good 18 months to actually fully decide this is it. And when I did that, I sold learning blocks. So that was my tutoring business. That was just one of those meant to be moments. I wasn't trying to sell it. It just happened. Somebody approached me, and it's one of those things. It was
the time, wasn't it?
Time. Everything just worked out so perfectly. And what that did was gave me, even though that didn't take up a lot of my time, it gave me extra brain space, and that more of capacity to focus then on my coaching and serving the ladies inside my memberships and my courses. So I launched my first course in, I think it was March last year, Classroom to Business, which is a course for teachers starting their tutoring business. And then I had my first launch for my membership, the Tutoring Growth Mastermind, in May last year, which is for tutors ready to, wanting to scale up and learn how to grow and automate their businesses. So that's where I'm at now, and I absolutely love it. I look back and think of all the different stages that I went through, and I know that people kind of would look at me and think, oh, now she's doing this. Oh, now she's doing that. My mum especially, who loves her to death, but she doesn't know business at all. Whereas I look back and I think I learned so much from every single part of that journey, through my mistakes, through my wins, and I'm now able to share that. Mm-hmm. I'm not just a business coach who has, got a business degree and is fresh out of uni and saying, oh, you need to do this, this, and this. Mm-hmm. I've actually lived it and breathed it. And so now I can share with people firsthand, don't do a flyer drop. Don't go and print out 500 flyers and drop them in your local suburb, because that's what everybody does, and it won't get you the leads, and it's just going to be a lot of money. All of those sorts of things that, as we go into business, we do them with good intentions. I can help people to avoid those mistakes, and then, like I said, help to increase their revenue and look at alternative revenue streams. We've got a lot of members who are doing courses and their own courses and memberships as well now as well. So I literally love what I do, and when I say that to people, they're like, yeah, I can tell.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see the energy.
It lights me up. I can't, I love going to work every day. In saying that, I have to make sure I have my really clear boundaries, because obviously family still is super important to me. But work doesn't feel like work. It feels like something that I'm blessed to be able to do and to be able to help people. So I guess it's not a straightforward journey, but it's a journey that has I look back on it and I'm super happy with every single step of the way.
It's amazing, because looking back now, you can just see how all of these pieces are just literally falling into place. They served the purpose at the time, and that I think that all of those things were required to get you to where you are now. And I remember when we first started working together, and you were like, I want to do coaching, and then but who and what, and there was a lot of like not being sure. And you mentioned a bit of imposter syndrome before. You were like, oh, like, what do I need to have to do it? And it wasn't all just, when you tell a story, it kind of feels like it was meant to be, right? But then like you went through a lot of what everybody goes through. I'm sure even your own clients, going from the teacher to the tutor and becoming a business owner, like, can I really do this? Is this possible? And you're thinking, wow, like, but the fact that you actually then got really clear on what it was that you wanted, where you did feel like, I do have authority in this space. Like you've just said, you've walked in those shoes. You went from teacher to tutor, grew a successful tutoring business. Like you have walked every step of the way for all that you're now helping your clients with. And so being in that space straight away just meant that it was incredible how fast you could set up and launch your business and sell your first program, because not only do you work like a demon, but and have the kids at home. But I think it was just getting so clear on, on that space that you can really thrive in, and how you've got that energy that you're bringing to it, because you 100% know that you can help those people.
Exactly. And I think, when I worked with you, right at the beginning, and you were sort of encouraging me to really niche down, it felt uncomfortable, because like we all do, and I now teach this to my ladies, because learned along the way, so I'm passing it on. But you think, oh, if I narrow it down that much, I'm missing out on these people, I'm missing out on those people. But that is exactly what draws people to me. If teachers if people are teachers moving into business, that's why they want to come to me, because they're like, you get it, you understand what it's like, you know. I even had to say, you're more real because you're a real person. It's like, well, business coaches are always real, but I know what they mean in terms of it's relatable, and you want to find someone that you can relate to. So I think niching down into teachers, and then specifically for my courses, tutors, was the best thing I could ever have done. So thank you, Jess, because you were highly effective in encouraging me to do that.
That's good. But I just love seeing it then in action, and just seeing how natural it looks, how great it feels, and then, your success as well. So tell us a bit about your course and then your program, because you created, I think it was only a few months, you literally were like, bang, I'm getting this business up and live and going. With the first program, straight into a launch, and there was no time to, think too much about it, which I remember you wanting to do it that way so that you didn't procrastinate. But tell us about what you managed to achieve in that time.
It's really funny. I've discovered I'm a very all or nothing person. And this might be a little inappropriate of me to say, but I always used to refer that to drinking alcohol. I'm all or nothing. I'm not the kind of person to sit back and just have a wine at night, because I'm not. It doesn't do anything for me. If I'm going to drink, I'm going to drink all night. I'm going to be dancing all night, and I'll be up until the morning. And I've realized that I'm like that in work as well. So I am all in. And so when I decided finally, like I said, it was 18 months of, what do I call my business? Or do I use my name? Or do I use something else? And who's my niche? And it was on and off 18 months of figuring that out. And then, I think it was sort of December 2020. And I just said, right, this is happening. And I remember we were up in Toowoomba for Christmas, and I took my laptop up and I just started playing around with Kajabi, which was brand new to me, and got into Canva, created my social media accounts, and I just went at it. Luckily, my mum was down on holiday, so she was very busy entertaining the kids at the park on and off for 3 days. But I just knew that I wanted to do it. When I first launched Classroom to Business, I probably made it too big. And that was also a lesson to learn. I made my course there was too much in there for the beginner, for the startup business owner. And it was overwhelming. And so I had to tweak that. So when I launched it for the second time a few months later, I cut it back to 6 modules, and I made it, I took all the fluff out. It's very clear and concise, and, you do this, and then you do this, and then you do this, and then you do this. So it's literally taking you from step A to step B. And that's been really successful because there are so many teachers. So, teacher burnout is huge. Throw in this year, or the last couple of years, teachers having to teach online on and off for so long, that joy and that passion for so many teachers is dying out. And then obviously this year with mandates coming in, there are even more teachers who have left, or who are being forced to leave, and they still want to teach. They still want to work with kids. So they can now use their skills, but in a different way, and, on their own terms, and, create that lifestyle flexibility. So that's sort of the course. And as soon as I launched that the second time, it was like this thing I just knew inside me, I need a membership. I want a membership, because my course is very much, it's self-paced. So, you get in, you get it done at a rate that works for you. Everything is in there. You've still got access to me if you have questions, but you do it as you've got time, because everyone in that stage, they've got different life experiences going on. But I wanted a membership where I had a lot more touch points with people. So I created the Tutoring Growth Mastermind, and that's, we have live masterclasses every month. We have live guest experts every 1 to 2 months. We have small group coaching calls every month. We have a Facebook group that's extremely active and supportive. And, it's interesting because you would think that, all of these ladies have the same business. They all have a tutoring business. So you would, from an outside, look at that and think, well, why would you want to be in the same room as a tutoring business owner? Because they might steal your ideas, or their competition, or this or that. But the beauty of it is, there are so many families who still need support. So most of the ladies have got wait lists. But I don't know whether this is just a teacher thing or whether I've just been lucky to attract the right ladies, but it's very much a community over competition feel. So people are supporting each other. There's no one hiding their ideas. There's no one
that's great.
It is. And it's something that I didn't expect when I created the mastermind. I didn't expect that really beautiful community to evolve the way it did. So yeah, the membership, the Tutoring Growth Mastermind, has got all of those touch points and more personalized support, I guess. And I love that. I love that I have my ladies, and they're being supported throughout their journey now from myself, but also from other tutors who have either gone through the same thing or are going through the same thing. So I'm super happy with both of the things I've got going. And then obviously I've got clients as well, and it's because I always say I work with ladies, but there are still some guys who are teachers and who want to start their tutoring businesses. So they're not allowed at the moment into the Tutoring Growth Mastermind because, sorry guys, it's ladies only. But I work with a lot of them one-on-one to get their businesses up and, that sort of thing. So
yeah,
it's just, changing things around it and giving it a more of a masculine sort of feel, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense as well. And, you can really see how the different elements of your business connect and how people can progress as well through it. Obviously, maybe not the guys right now because it's ladies only, but, people can come in, they can do the course and set up their tutoring business and then move into the membership, the mastermind group, to be supported through it. Because you mentioned right at the start, that you help them not only with the practical stuff and the systems and the business side, but also with their mindset, which is interesting because most people wouldn't be thinking they need help with it. But you also mentioned when teachers, like you're in this environment as a teacher where you're getting told what to do all the time. And yeah, that's obviously a reason why they want to step out and do their own business, so that they can kind of have a bit of say over how they teach and what they do. But do you find that this is an interesting thing that you need to look at, like from a mindset perspective with your clients, like who are so used to, it's ingrained in you to kind of be doing what you're told, and then suddenly you're out, you're free, you're cut free of all of the all the red tape and all the rules, and you can do whatever you want. And like, does it actually then become something that's a challenge for them as well? Because suddenly there is no, no structure.
Very true. I've never even thought of it like that. But I think not so much that, because I think within all of them, they are in their classrooms wanting to do something else, knowing, and this is not all teachers, definitely, but knowing that they could do things differently. Like, if I could just work with that child one-on-one, if I could just teach them to read in this way, or if I could just have a smaller class size or something like that. But what the thing that they really struggle with is finding their own value and pricing themselves. Because as teachers, generally, teachers have got really big, kind hearts. And, if you look at a pay slip in Queensland, for example, for a teacher, they're paid for 5 hours a day. And that's just everyone. You're paid for 5 hours. And I like to share this because I know that people sort of say, well, teachers are paid on school holidays. I think the reason teachers are paid on school holidays is to make up for all of the hours that they're not paid for during the normal school days, because school goes from 9 till 3, which is 6 hours. So already we're only being paid for 5. You never, ever, ever get an hour's break, ever. It just doesn't happen. So you're kind of being jibbed there. Plus, you have to be at school by a certain time, and you can't leave until a certain time, and you have staff meetings, and you have bus duties, and you have report cards and planning. It's not a 25-hour week as your pay slip says. So as teachers, we're just constantly giving. We're doing more. You know, we create a lesson plan and we think, okay, how can I make that better? We work with our class to teach a specific topic, and there's a child who's not getting it. So we go home and we figure out something else that we can do to help that child or to help those kids. So then when we come into our own business and we have that control of, well, how much am I worth? And how much is someone going to pay for me, for my time, and to get this outcome? It's really, really hard. And so often teachers undervalue themselves. And there's a lot of mindset work around it, because it's sort of taking a different approach and thinking, well, you're making an impact on this family's life, like not just this child, but these parents as well. And if they weren't working with you, then they will be either not getting support, or they might be working with someone else who's not as great. So it's that being comfortable to sell yourself and knowing that selling is serving, and that if you're not selling, you can't possibly serve them. But then getting that price right so that you believe that price matches your worth. And it's really difficult to do, because it's literally an hourly rate, you know. And you might have a plumber come around and they charge you $90, $100 just to come around, and they're actually only here for 15 minutes. So we pay it without even thinking about it. But a teacher has to stop and put a rate on there. So there is a lot of mindset work that we sort of do, sometimes explicitly, but also just within every training that we do, every coaching call that we do. You know, even when it comes to employing staff, that's massive for teachers, because they say, well, why would someone want to work for me? Why wouldn't they just do it themselves? And there's so many reasons why, you know, because they don't want to own a business. They don't want to be chasing up fees. They don't want to be doing marketing. They just want a job. And then
there's all the clients, and like, well, if I have someone working for me, but then the clients that, you know, they're obviously coming to me because they want me. And so, you know, there's all of that to work through as well, where they might think that they can't step away from being the tutor because they need to be the tutor as well as the face of the business, as well as the owner of the business. And I think it's so similar, you know, what you're saying with people who are in any kind of service-based industry. I think anyone listening who's, you know, if you're a copywriter, a web designer, a graphic designer, all of these things, you know, whatever it is that you might do, even if you run campaigns and marketing, Facebook ads, like I think we have the same challenges, because you come out of your job and people, you don't know, you've always been paid a salary. So it's whatever that market rate is. And you might be looking at jobs on the market and obviously try to negotiate your salary, but there's always going to be a level at which it's at, because that's just what it is. And then, how do you come out and then price your service? Because like you say, it's not just that time that you might spend doing it. There's a whole lot more that goes into it.
Exactly.
And it's a hard thing. I think it's hard for everybody. And I think women in particular have a really hard time with it. So it's really interesting to hear you talking about that with teachers and with tutoring services, because it's the same struggle that we all have. The whole pricing, how to get that rate that is, like you say, in your worth. And I think there's so much talk about worth at the moment, and people thinking, well, then that means that's what I'm worth, the price I put on it. And I'm always saying it's not you as a person. You're not valuing yourself. You're valuing the outcome that you're bringing to your client. You're valuing the service you're providing. That is not you as a person. So let's stop trying to think that this price tag we're putting on it means something about you, because it doesn't.
And that's even, you know, the other day, because obviously COVID has impacted so many tutoring businesses, and most of us were able to pivot and go online during that time. And I mean, thanks to that, a lot more families are now open to online tutoring, which is great because it means that teachers or tutors can access more families, more students. But as soon as that happened, something, in the mind of the tutor, they want to drop the prices. And they're like, well, I'm offering online, so I need to drop the price. And it's like, but it's not about, this is not a second-rate service. You are still you with your background, with your experience. And like you just said, the outcome is still the same. If your outcome is to, help this little person with their, 2-digit addition, you're going to be doing that, whether it's face-to-face or whether it's online. It's just that it's going to look different, but your outcome is the same, and your input in terms of your effort and your experience, and that's all the same. So it's funny that we just automatically go to downplay ourselves and devalue ourselves again, just because we have to pivot.
So natural, isn't it? Because they're probably thinking, I don't have to travel anymore, or whatever that cost was that they were thinking was built into the price before. But on the flip side, if you could look at it the other way around, it's like, well, turn that into a benefit for the clients because they now don't have to travel.
And that's it. Most of the tutors weren't traveling. The family's coming to them, so it's actually more convenient now. The parents don't have to go anywhere. The parents can sit at home, or not that they're just sitting around, they're busy, but they don't have to get in their car and drive to another place. So it's much more convenient for families. Totally.
And you're getting the same outcome. And I just think it's so funny how we automatically think, oh no, this will be something negative, but you can always turn something like that around if you just look for, well, what is the other side of the coin? Like, what's the positive about this? Because there's absolutely benefits and positives in every situation. And yes, we need to stop cutting our own pricing, cutting our own success, or downplaying it and looking at what we think the negatives might be, because often the positives can outweigh the negative as well. So, that's wonderful. So tell me, what would be do you have like a biggest lesson or aha moment, something you think has stuck out to you in this journey that you would love to share? And maybe you'd go back and tell your past self if you had your time again. I know it's hard to think of one. There's probably lots.
There are so many. I think we kind of touched on it at the start, in the sense that it's not, I find the word success really interesting, because people are like, to be successful, and I know I use it as well, but then I try and accompany it with your lifestyle, a life by design for you, success for you, because I think we're forever chasing this final like peak of success. And I know that for the last 10, however many years, that's probably been my mindset of, I've got to get to success. Whereas now I look back and think the journey is part of it. The journey is so important, and to embrace every single moment, and all of those, points in my life where, the highs, the lows, they're all achievements in one way or another. And just to, I don't want to get all, I guess it's be appreciative, just be aware of those, because I think if you're constantly seeking success, or like, I'll be successful when I hit 6 figures, or I'll be successful when I hit 7 figures, you already are successful. You've already started to create, especially, for the ladies I work with, they've left their teaching job. That is huge, and I know that a lot of ladies who work with, they've left their corporate jobs. That's huge, because it's scary. It's against the grain. There's probably a heap of people in their lives saying, don't do it, you're stupid. I know it happened to me. But that is a massive achievement, and that's already making you successful in your own right, because you're taking a step you're taking action
Absolutely.
against that fear.
Mm.
So I do think that, I did so many things along the way. Like I said, it wasn't just my tutoring business. There were other businesses in there as well, trying to figure out like who I am and what do I want to do and how do I get successful. And I was like, well, everything I was doing is success in some way. I was able to build a business that was automated, not $1 million business. I like to be transparent, but a business that is serving my family and being able to allow me to stay at home with my young girls. That was successful. I was able to sell like my 2 tutoring businesses and make profits at 2 different times in my business career for 2 different reasons, and that was successful. It's looking at those little parts along the way that are success. It's not a final endpoint that makes you successful. I think that would be it.
I love that. And I think you couldn't have said it better, because this is something that I talk about as well. And I think it's, if we just talk about success, that point always moves. Like, you're going to get to that place, you get to the 6 figure, and it's no longer feels successful, right? You're still chasing something. It's like, what's that next thing? Oh no, I'll feel it when I get to, $500,000, or I'll feel it when I get to $1 million. No, you're already successful. And it's about taking that moment to actually look back and acknowledge yourself, appreciate what you've done, and give yourself a bit of kudos for what you've already achieved, so that you feel successful today. And yes, you can still have goals that you're chasing. We all do. And I think that's human nature, right? We'll never stop having a next step that we want to get to, a next goal. But if we're always thinking that we're not there yet, then I think that we're missing out on the beautiful part of this journey, is that you've actually created whatever that is that you're trying to create. Are you doing it now? And I suppose, just to wrap in that one last piece, this is something that's super important to me. And I know that you've done it well, but there's a lot of clients I work with that they're like, oh, I really want to have a business where I'm only working part-time because I've got family at home. Like, us women tend to get into business around that stage. We want the flexibility, but we want to be earning, what we would call a decent income. And decent usually means what you are earning back in your job, or you're contributing at least equal amounts to the household income. And yes, we probably all secretly have desires that we're the bigger income earner. We could retire our husbands, whatever. Like, we all want that, right? But a lot of people can't even admit that to themselves, because it's so buried so deep inside. They're like, no, I don't know if I can get that. But the thing is that what happens, if you don't design your business to give you that right from the beginning, you're not going to have it. You keep on thinking, oh, it'll happen once I get to 6 figures. It'll happen once I get to 200, 300, 400. It won't happen if you haven't designed it in. And that's why that's one of the very first steps that I do. And we're looking at the business, working with clients, is you need to map that out from day one. So I had my school hours business right from day one. Of course, I didn't have the income yet, but I was like, I achieved the lifestyle goals that I wanted right at the beginning. Like, in the first 6 months, we could move and live up by the beach. I was working the hours I want to work. I was working online. I could do all the school drop-offs and pickups and whatever right then and there. So that moment where I suddenly went, oh my goodness, I've actually achieved what I wanted to achieve. And the only thing that's not there yet is the income level that I wanted at that time. But that made me go, I've actually achieved what I wanted. I'm successful, even though it's not about the money. Like, the money wasn't required to give me the lifestyle I wanted. That was the biggest, like, mind-blowing thing, was I actually already had the lifestyle right from the start, because I designed the business to work that way. And then all you've got to do is work on the income part, which is way easier, right? Because you're not burnt out. You're like,
exactly. And it's easier that way, because I find that people who do it the other way, and this is just, sometimes it happens that they've built up this amazing business because the goal is financial, not rather than what you did with the lifestyle first. And so they get to a point where they're now trying to put boundaries in place to give them more of their time back. And that's even harder to do, because we've created these habits for ourselves to get us more money, but they're taking away the time. Whereas I'm just like you, I'm not doing anything after school. This is my time with my kids, although Sometimes I wish. Seriously, their lives are they have better social lives than I do. So I've actually just on that note decided to do more things for myself, because for the last 7 years, everything has been about them. And I still have had things for me, but they've been few and far between. Whereas now I'm like, right, this is a life by design, and it's not just you kids. Like, yes, you are my why. Our family unit is the number one thing for me, but I feel like I'm getting left out right now.
Yeah, you're important too.
Both at school. That's right, they're both at school now, so I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to do Pilates twice a week, and I'm going to do some things for me now, and book in some catch up with friends, and so that to me is successful. And I guess it comes back a little bit in terms of what people's priorities are. You know, we for a very long time, my husband and I, before we were married, we I'm not going to say lived on the bones of our asses, but it's a very similar situation. So this was pre-business, pre-babies, pre-marriage, and we just moved back from overseas, but we knew we wanted to live right near the beach. So that cost a bit more money. And there weren't amazing jobs around available, especially for my husband. So I guess for us, the priority was our lifestyle, whereas we had other really close friends and their husband worked 5 to 6 days a week, massive hours, but they had this beautiful house. And I was always like, you know, you get that little bit of, oh, the grass is greener on the other side. But I look back, and since having kids, my husband has been able to be around. I've been able to be around. Yes, we don't live in that mansion that they live in, but our priorities for us, we want to be near the beach. We want to be active. We want to be outdoors. We want to have lots of family time. And that's what we have created. And that is successful. And yes, financially, you know, I say financial freedom because I think that looks different for everybody. You're free from having to, you know, feed yourself Vegemite and toast every night for dinner. You're not in that situation. You are able to spend the money on the things that are important to you. So yeah, and I think that ties in with that success of your priorities and your success, whereas somebody else success and their priorities are hitting that 7 figures or that, you know, $500,000. So yeah, it's very interesting. I love talking, isn't it?
Yeah, me too. And I love breaking it down. That's also why I think it's really important to not have a cookie cutter model where it's like, well, for every person, your ideal business is going to look different. And so I never teach my clients how to build my business. I teach them how to build their business, because it's like, well, it's got to be what works for you. So how many hours you want to be working in a week? What kind of things do you want to be doing? What lights you up? What's that big vision? And let's build the thing that will actually create it, rather than just trying to make money. So like when we look at it at that real shallow level, a surface level of I just need clients and need to make money, often what happens then is you create this resource intensive business where you end up having less and less time, and you've got to put more and more in to make the more money, and the profit margins aren't actually that great when you start to scale that way, when you're going out. And it's interesting because I think it's a different approach than what we would naturally think. And I think when we come out of business or out of some, you know, the previous life, the career, you're kind of just thinking, first of all, about let's just get clients and start making money, and not about, well, what is this actual thing that I'm trying to create? Why am I doing it in the first place? Apart from, you know, yeah, I want all that vision, but it's like, well, we need to connect the dots. We actually need to draw that roadmap of how you're getting from where you are now to where you want to be. Otherwise, you're going to be off down all these little paths, taking lots of detours and tangents, and you know, not saying that won't happen, or there won't be slow bits and fast bits, but you'll get there a lot faster when you make that roadmap. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Kirsty. This has been such a great chat. I've really enjoyed hearing your story. It's always inspiring. I love seeing what you're up to on Instagram. So if you do want to learn more about Kirsty and find her on Instagram, do you want to let us know how people can reach out and connect with you?
Sure. So on Instagram, it is at kirstygibbs.coaching. So it's KIRSTYGIBBS.coaching. And if you are looking at starting a tutoring business, I've got heaps of freebies. So you can, jump on, play around with those, see if it's something that you are interested in, because I know for a lot of people, sometimes it's just that final, that final hand to pull them up to the top of the cliff when they've been climbing, searching, trying to figure out where to go. And thank you, Jess, so much for having me, because it's been really lovely to chat with you. And I just have to say thanks, Jess, because honestly, Jess has been very patient with me back in the days when I first started, and I went backwards and forwards. And I even remember sending you screenshots of some of the work that you were giving me. Well, I was in hospital with my daughter when she was getting some sort of surgery, and I was just sending them through. And you're like, oh, you're on a roll. And I said, I've got heaps of time, so I'm getting in and getting it done. But you just, you're really very patient with me and supportive in getting me to niche down. And like I said, that has truly made a massive difference. So thanks for that. And thanks for having me today.
Oh, you're so welcome. I love it. And I love supporting you all on your journeys as well. It's just awesome to see, and can't wait to see what's next with your business. So we'll definitely have to catch up again and get the next stage.
Beautiful. Thanks,
awesome.
Jen.
Thanks, Kirsty. We'll talk soon. Do you know what the number one challenge reported by the women joining my Facebook community, My Tribe, said that they were struggling with their marketing in 2021, and in fact, even in 2020 as well? And that was exactly how they should reach their ideal client. How do they even get in front of them in order to build their audience in the first place? That was it. And it wasn't a pick and mix. I didn't give them that answer. It was a free text question. So they could write in there anything they wanted at all. And the number of times that I saw somebody say, how to create awareness, how to get in front of my ideal client and build my audience. So many people just challenged by it. And why is that when there's such an abundance of ways that we can get in front of the ideal client? And I think it's probably that is exactly it. It's so overwhelming, isn't it? What should you do? What should you choose? What are the best ways? Whatever it is that you're doing right now might not be working. And I think it's a great time to sit back, reflect, and figure out what's the right way for you to do it. What are the ways that you're going to reach your prospective clients in 2022? So if that sounds like you, if that might have been what you wrote down in the questions on what is your biggest challenge with your marketing currently, then you're going to absolutely love the new freebie that I've just put together for you. It's called 12 Brilliant Ways to Reach Your Ideal Client. And in it, I share with you the 12, in my view, 12 top ways that you could use in your marketing plan this year to reach a bigger, broader audience in order to attract those ideal clients in to your inner circle, into your, really well-defined audience and become real leads for you. So if you'd like to get your hands on this brand new freebie, then all you need to do is go to jessicaosborne.com/12 ways. So it's 12 ways. Very easy. You can download it there, and this is a little bit of great resource for your planning, for the planning of the new year. See what you're going to change up. What is it that you maybe haven't been doing that you could be doing? And what are those things that you've been doing and they're not very effective, and maybe you're going to drop them out of your plan this year? So please head over, grab the freebie. If you want the link, that it's in the show notes, and let's get you moving on up, having more success with your marketing in 2022.